Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, distinguished guest partners and stakeholders. It's my utmost pleasure to welcome you to this important conference on behalf of Mrs. Lola Owolabi, the founder of Proudtobeme. And just to let us know, she sends her warm regards and her heartfelt appreciation to everyone here for education, innovation, and sustainable development in Katsina State. At Proudtobeme, we're passionate about empowering individuals and communities by creating opportunities for growth and transformation. So supporting supporting the domestication of the Startup Act aligns with our mission to foster environments where innovators and entrepreneurs can access the resources and networks that they need to succeed. So this is a game changer. It holds the potential to unlock innovation, create jobs, and build resilience amongst young people. We believe that at Proud2Be Me, through partnerships like this, we can drive real progress. And so on behalf of the entire Proud2Be Me team, everyone for joining. Thank you to everyone for choosing to join us for this conference today. And I want to wish you a productive session. And then I hand over to the moderator for today. I would just like to introduce our guests who are going to be speaking to us today in this conference. It promises to be a very impactful session, and I hope you're ready to take down notes just like I am. And our first guest is Dr. Adogi, and he's going to be talking about navigating policy and advocacy. And just in case you're wondering who Dr. Adogi Murtala is, he's the founder and CEO of the System Strategy and Policy Lab. Our next guest will be Mr. Theodore Longji, and he's the lead domestication of the Startup Act in Plateau State. And he's also the director, Ecosystem Innovation Support Network Hub. And today he's going to talk about navigating the Startup Act, domestication, and lessons for Plateau State. Since we are going to be meeting or repeating what he has done in Plateau State in Katsina, I think it's very necessary for us to see someone who has done what we are trying to do, few things that we can also learn. So he's going to be talking about that. And we also have the CEO of Lumi Lab, Ms. Umar Mustafa. He'll be talking about the role of the startup ecosystem in domestication of the startup. And the last but not the least, Mr. Huzaifa Yakubu. I hope I pronounced that correctly. And he's the president of the Youth in Agriculture Network. And Mr. Yakubu will be talking about the need for Startup Act domestication. And having introduced all our, I want to also once again wish you a productive conversation. I hope that every one of us leaves this conference fulfilled and, with one thing or the other, learning one thing or the other. And not the least, I would also introduce the project manager who will take over just after me. And his name is Mr. Durama. So he's going to take over. He'll have sessions, introduce all our guests, and moderate the sessions. But before I let you go, I think I've not introduced myself. My name is Amaka K, and I am the Special Projects Coordinator at Proudtobeme. And it's nice to have every one of you join us. So, Mr. Abdul, are you here?
Very much, Amaka. Thank you very much for the wonderful introduction and also listing of the line of events. Thank you very much. So I will take over from here, and I would start by giving an introduction to the need for partnership for domestication of the Startup Act. So I would like to know if I'm perfectly audible before I start.
Yes, Mr. Abdul, you're perfectly audible.
Okay. Thank you very much. So the purpose of this particular virtual conference is to discuss the partnership for domestication of the Startup Act. So I'm going to give you a brief introduction. So as you would already know, I believe most of the individuals here are from the startup ecosystem across various states in Nigeria, both from the national level and also the state level. So I would like to start by reiterating that the Startup Act is a product of joint effort between the government and the tech community to create a tech startup ecosystem for proper utilization of our digital economy and technology-related talent in 2022. So the Startup Act was actually co-created by the Nigerian startup ecosystem to unlock the potential of the digital economy. I'm sorry for that. So for the startup ecosystem was co-created by Nigerian tech ecosystem to unlock the potential of the Startup Act, which was signed in October 19th, 2022. So the act was developed with input from over 30 tech leaders across Nigeria with the aim to create an enabling environment for startups. It also provides clear regulations, attract investment, and foster innovation across the country. While the Startup Act is a step forward, while the Startup Act has level for its impact to be felt locally. Already, at the national level, since 2022, a lot of organizations have started to benefit from the startup ecosystem, of course. But usually, these benefactors are from states that have a well-developed tech ecosystem, while other states have been left behind. So the Startup Act actually became necessary in 2022 post-COVID-19, as we saw a sudden increase in tech startups and also investment. And also, we saw a sudden increase in mistakes from the government that negatively affected the growing startup ecosystem. So this included, for example, the crypto ban, which happened in 2021, border closure, the forex regulation, and so on. So basically, this particular Startup Act was an outcome of lack of collaboration and policy coherence between the government and the private sector. So the Startup Act was supposed to tackle that particular issue. So despite its promises, the domestication of the Startup Act has been very slow, with only about 7 states having domesticated so far. Startups in many states across Nigeria continue to grapple with the challenges such as outdated regulations, inconsistent policies, double taxations, lack of infrastructure, limited access to funding, making it very difficult for startups to thrive. So these challenges underscore the need for urgent collaborative efforts to drive the domestication process. However, like many other states, there has been fragmented effort and siloed approaches, which have hindered momentum among the ecosystem and have often some actors, for example, the relevant non-profit organizations, relevant government agencies, relevant tech startups have worked independently in seeking or working towards domestication of Startup Act, but missing the opportunities for synergy, for combined work, for collaborative work towards the domestication of Startup Act. So, for example, there has been poor information sharing, there has been insufficient knowledge of the benefit of the Startup Act itself across many states. And we believe without inclusive alignment, there is a risk of non-diverse policies, because when key startup individuals or key stakeholders are working towards domestication of the Startup Act independently, it's risk that uh, issues that other. So this particular conference is an opportunity perhaps. Can you all mute like we are having instruction from so I don't know, we are still having disruption. I don't know. Okay, I've muted the person. Please, if you have not muted yourself, please do try and do that. Okay, so this particular conference serves as an opportunity to bridge these gaps by fostering collaboration among all key stakeholders, including the government, representatives from the private sector, the tech ecosystem, the civil society, and also the private sector. So the focus is to build a partnership that is effective and also owned by the ecosystem. I believe if we do work together and collaborate together, we can develop the ecosystem, not only in Katsina State or at the national level, but across states in Nigeria. Thank you very much. So now we'll move on to the next speaker, which is Dr. Adogi, but from all indications, from my recent communication, he is not around. So we would move on to the next agenda on the list. So I'm going to project a video which will provide an assessment of the impact of the Startup Act within the last 2 years.
In 2022, Nigeria rolled out the drum to announce its landmark Startup Act. The act seeks to provide businesses leveraging digital technology with easy access to registrations, information, resources, incentives, collaboration, and linkages. In this report, Just Nigeria's Mercy Track speaks with startup owners and others in the ecosystem to understand how the law is impacting their business.
The Nigerian Startup Act 2022 has been passed into law.
It's one thing to get it in an act of parliament, and another thing to actually implement.
If we have strong visions, strong leadership, strong government at the NBA level, then I think we won't have this problem.
Nigeria is one of the ripest markets for technology and startups.
Nigeria Startup Act 2022 Startups are responsible for the emergence of personal computers, the internet, and other technology innovations. A 2022 statistics by Microsoft indicates there are 150 million startups in the world, with 50 million new startups launching every year and 137,000 emerging every day, according to the National Information Technology Development
and linkages. In this report, in 2022, Nigeria rolled out the drums to announce its landmark Startup Act. The act seeks to provide businesses leveraging digital technology with easy access to registrations, information, resources, incentives, collaboration, and linkages. In this report, Just Nigeria's Mercy Frank